tonight we are live from the Aristone Theater in San Remo, Italy, as HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. The undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvelous Marvin Haglar, defends his crown against the WBA's #1 contender, Fulgencio Obelmejias. It is an event that the city of San Remo has awaited for a long time, and in fact, the entire country of Italy. This place is sold out, packed to its 1800 rafter, and just down the block there's a movie theater that is showing a closed circuit of this event that is also sold out. Hello everybody, I'm Barry Tompkins, along with the welterweight champion of the world, Sugar Ray Leonard. Well, while you settle in for an evening of television back home, it is, as Larry Merchant mentioned, 3 a.m. in the morning here. It is already All Saints Day. Halloween comes tomorrow, but as you can see, Ray and I already dressed for the occasion. We came to this party as penguins. Got a good fight for you tonight. Marvin Haglar, Fulgencio Obelmejias, Fulio Bell, if you will. Marvin Haglar, Ray, has been in a ring just 67 seconds in the last year, and I can't help but wonder if that would have a negative effect on him tonight.
Well, Barry, normally inactivity does hurt a fighter, but in my case, when I had a rematch with Roberto Duran, I had the fight, 5 months later. Didn't bother me at all. The same with Marvin Haglar. It shouldn't bother him because he's always in the gym and he's always in shape. It shouldn't be a factor.
Fulio Bell is the kind of guy who fights directly at his opponent. Straight-up fighter, comes right at his man. That's what he did for 37 times coming up to Marvin Haglar. When he fought Haglar, he came out on the losing end. 38 out of 39, it worked for Fulio Bell, but when he fought Marvin Haglar, it didn't. But can he change?
Well, a fighter learns from his mistakes, but once you're fighting, you have a certain style, you can't change. Fulio Bell cannot change. The only thing he can improve on is his confidence.
So Fulio Bell, who says he's got nothing but confidence, he said, as a matter of fact, yesterday when we spoke with him point blank, I am going to win this championship tonight. Well, doing it the day before the fight and doing it in an 18-foot square ring remains to be seen. It is very much two different things. Right now, let's go to New York and our own Larry Merchant. Larry?
Barry, one question for Ray. Ray, we know that prize fighters are used to getting up at all hours of the morning to train and run. Have they undergone any special training for a fight at this hour of the morning?
But Larry, to be perfectly honest with you, I would prefer to be at a party right now. It is a pacey transition for a fighter to fight this early in the morning. But it depends on how Marvin Haglar prepared himself for this fight, whether or not he's able to adjust to this time. Only time will tell, and that's a big question. We'll soon find out in a few moments.
We'll be back to you in a few moments, Ray. Marvin Haglar says the 6'1" broad-shouldered Fulio Obelmejias looks like a light heavyweight. In two important respects, he's a heavyweight. He showed in their first fight that he has a big heart, and he's shown again that he has big political connections. As undisputed champion, Haglar has to fight the top contender in both the WBC and the WBA annually. Obelmejias qualified in the WBC last time, the WBA this time. In some measure, that can be attributed to the Latin flavor in those bodies, and that can be traced to the 60s and 70s when such great champions as Roberto Duran, Carlos Monzon, and Jose Napoles took economic influence in boxing south of the border. But at a time when not many middleweights can seriously challenge Haglar, Obelmejias may be as serious as any of them. The trick for him tonight will be to recapture the feeling of invincibility he took into the ring as an unbeaten challenger. He'll need that conviction to have any chance, and he's working at it. Here's Barry Tompkins.
Fulgencio Obelmejias was born in Miranda, Venezuela, and today he is the leading contender for the middleweight crown. After an appearance in the '76 Olympics, he turned pro. After 27 wins, he faced Freddie Johnson here in San Remo. Against a less than spectacular opponent, Fulio Bell, as he is called by some, displayed some of the punching power which makes him a threat today. Then on October 31st of 1980, American Leroy Green Jr. took on Fulio Bell in Rome. It was a brutal third-round knockout. And after his 28th victory, he was the #1 contender for Marvin Haglar's crown. The title shot was in Boston, Massachusetts on January 17th, 1981. Fulio Bell was described as the middleweight champion's mystery guest. In the early rounds, Obell surprised Marvelous Marvin and many at ringside. But by the 7th round, Obell was dragging from an apparent cold, which he complained of after the fight. The #1 contender was gasping for air and trying to pressure Haglar with some wild rights and lefts. But the relentless champion finally finished the challenger off with some vicious combinations, which sent Fulio Bell and his faithful Venezuelan followers back home without the title. Obel returned to Caracas, he climbed right back into the ring. 4 months later, he met Norberto Cabrera, a respected opponent, and took care of him in just 5 rounds. It was a devastating knockout and symbolic proof that the former Central American champion would return. Just 3 weeks later, Obel continued his climb back to the top of the ratings. Joe Gonzalez was a stepping stone to another title shot, a very easy second-round knockout. He was Fully's 31st victim, and Obel went on to score 3 more knockouts in 1981. Then on June 14th, 1982, Obel completed his long journey back to the top of the rankings with this convincing knockout of Rey Escalera. The WBA placed the Venezuelan as a mandatory challenger to the middleweight crown. He has come full circle, and now Fulgencio Obelmejias faces Marvelous Marvin Haglar in a rematch for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. I talked to him about the challenge.
Since the first time I met Haglar, I have been thinking about it and trying to do what I wanted to do. And now I've been improving all the time for the next match with him.
Fully, it was learned after the fight last time that you had a cold and later that you had bronchitis. And yet some of Marvin Haglar's people were in your locker room for the taping. They said you were shadowboxing, you were breathing just fine. Why did it not come out until after the fight?
Everyone in my camp knew about this bronchitis, but it had to be kept a secret from Marvin Haglar's trainer.
Fully, you've always been a straight-ahead kind of fighter. You come right at your man. You did that with Marvin Haglar last time, and Marvin Haglar knocked you out. 38 out of 39 times it was successful, but do you have to change your style now?
I will win, and I'll be the new champion.
Words of confidence from a challenger who must now take them from the gym to the ring as he tests the man who's appeared invincible against the world's middleweights.
Marvin Haglar has dubbed himself Marvelous with a capital M, and he's given us no reason to think otherwise. He is, many observers feel, a better fighter now than he was when he won the title more than 2 years ago. He's turned his frustration while struggling toward the top into a positive crusade to stay there. In fact, Haglar had to use the same system as Obelmejias, the mandatory challenge, to get his shot. In the bad old days of boxing, it was not uncommon for worthy challengers to be overlooked, ignored, and bypassed, especially if, like Haglar, they come from out-of-the-way places without connections in the boxing establishment. Haglar comes from Brockton, Massachusetts. Another Brockton product, Rocky Marciano, was welcomed into the establishment because of his exciting knockout style. What Marvin Haglar has in common with him is a single-minded toughness that has won him grudging respect only after he became a champion.
Main Street in Brockton, Massachusetts was once alive with cheers for their native son, heavyweight champion Rocky Marciano, a man idolized by the whole town. And now, some 30 years later, there's a new face. WBC, WBA middleweight champion, Marvelous Marvin Haglar, who many boxing experts believe, pound for pound, is the greatest fighter in the world. These two celebrated champions had much more in common than just a hometown. Both struggled for recognition in their early pro careers. Marciano had 42 fights and Haglar 49 before they were given the opportunity to fulfill a lifelong dream.
He has had a lot of bad breaks also in the beginning. I think this is what motivated him. You know, he had a lot of things against him, short arms, he's only 5'10", you know, he had a lot of obstacles.
Yet it was Marvin who faced the toughest challenge. He lost his first bid for the title on a controversial draw with Vito Antuofermo.
I felt as though I won that fight, and I still believe that in my heart. That's something that nobody can take away from me. I thought right there that I only had one opportunity in life, Ray, that they would never give me that opportunity again.
Rocky Marciano did not have to wait for a second chance. Behind on all 3 judges' scorecards, he connects with one of the most vicious right hands in boxing history. He was the new heavyweight champion of the world. As for Marvin, 10 months after his initial disappointment, he too had his day of glory.
I've always said, what do I have to do to get the recognition? Do I have to kill somebody?
But it was Marvin's life that was in danger. Angry British fans hurled bottles at the man who had dethroned their champion. Brockton was a wonderful sight for the new middleweight champion. Marvelous Marvin Haglar received an emotional homecoming, and he stood before his adoring fans as Rocky Marciano had some 30 years earlier. The same small town in two different eras, cheering for their idols.
I feel as though that, to get that belt after all these lickings that you done took and all that hard road work and everything like this, Ray, they just can't take it away from you.
No two champions ever trained harder to retain their titles than Marciano and Haglar.